Please
Okay,
bear with me. I'm not on my normal computer, so everything's going to be slow.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, IFNG. So welcome to our, actually this is a comeback episode of none other than Mandy. But I would like to say hi first to our to my co-admins. Hi, Marvin. Are you in the house? You're in the
At
house.
work, good evening, guys. Good morning, Mandy.
Hi, Marvin.
Okay. And hello to our 44 Zoom participants. And for those who are watching on Facebook, please tag your friends. Okay. So, okay, are you ready, guys? We missed this. Mandy, are you ready?
Yes,
Because it's been a long
I'm
time.
ready. Yeah, and I apologize for being slow. I'm on like a different computer, so.
Okay, it's okay. So yeah, our first candidate would be Mitch. Hello, Mitch.
Hi. Hello, Mandy.
Hi, Mitch. How are you?
I'm good. I'm fine. And actually, I'm excited because I'm sitting the Ielts on the 27th.
Oh, nice. February.
Yes, next week, Sunday.
That's so soon.
I know,
You're
right?
gonna do great.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. So these are some fun questions. So Mitch, what is your favorite bread?
Oh, wow. I eat a lot of carbohydrates and bread is one of them. I am quite fond of croissants and wheat bread, and that is what I usually eat for breakfast.
And have you ever tried to bake?
Yeah, I did try to bake when I was in high school. It was me and my best friend. We were in their kitchen and we tried to bake a birthday cake for her brother. And it was like a disaster because we weren't really experts, but at the end, we were able to pull it off and put some M&Ms as toppings and some candy. And I think it was great. It was edible, at least.
And how often do you eat cake? Speaking of cake.
Oh, wow. I love cake. I usually eat cake when I'm stressed at work and just tired and exhausted with all of the assignments that I had to do and with all of this studying. Cake makes me happy because it's sweet. It releases serotonin, which is a happy hormone, and it makes me feel good.
Good. All right. So are you ready for part two?
Yes, I am.
Now that we're all hungry for cake. All right. So Jeff's going to put it on the screen and I'm just going to let me make sure I get mine correct. I got my timer. Okay. Can you see it okay, Mitch, on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. And if anyone can't see it on the screen, just say something in the chat and we'll fix it for everybody. Okay. So let's go on to part one. So I'm going to read it out loud and then I'll give you a minute to prepare. And when the minute's over, I'll tell you that you can start speaking and then I'll give you 2 minutes. Okay? Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
And if you
Thank
cannot hear over my mom's bird, please let me know. Okay. All right. So Mitch, please describe the best bake shop that you've ever visited or tried. You should say, what's the name of the bake shop? Where is this located? What product have you tried or products? And explain why you think it is the best bake shop so far. And you can have a minute to start now. Okay, Mitch, that is 1 minute to prepare, and you can begin speaking.
I've been privileged, very privileged, to have tasted some of the most exquisite cakes that anyone could want. And I think one delicacy or pastry that has made a mark in me would be a pastry from a bake shop that was known as Julie's Bake Shop here in the Philippines. Um, in the past, because I'm a nursing student, we used to find a lot of sources of food and refreshments because we were just so tired of all our patients, and handling and caring for them is very exhausting. So me and my group of nursing student friends, we went on this expedition of finding very cheap local breads that could fit our budget because we had a tight budget and we were students. The thing that I could remember that I ate from that bake shop would be the pizza bread. It was so delicious, it was soft and so creamy, and it didn't tasted really cheap. And besides that, in addition to that, there's also cheese bread and ube bread, which I love so much. You know, the purple bread. And there are certain cinnamon rolls too that were sold in that cake shop. And I think in the future, if I'd be given a chance to franchise a store of my own, I think I would franchise Julie's Bake Shop because, first of all, it is affordable, it is practical, and it is literally everywhere, all over the Philippines. So it is quite popular and it's easy to advertise. And in my opinion, they sell the best breads in town. So if ever you'd be visiting the Philippines, I recommend you to please visit the Julie's Bake Shop. It is for me one of the best.
My mouth is watering. Okay. All right, let's go on to part 3. So, Mitch, do you think in the future people will go for organic foods, and why or why not?
Well, perhaps with the emerging technology that we have, it is quite impossible to have locally grown food that is organic and safe and free from all the free radicals that is quite harmful for our body. Examples would be vegetables grown in our gardens, and those I think would be a healthier choice for all of us, for people on Earth.
And is it good to teach children about farming, and why or why not?
In my opinion, farming is one of the most basic and most humble of all jobs. Me myself have experienced living in a farm and observing my grandmother doing that kind of job. And I think that children should be taught on how to work in a farm because it teaches them humility, and it teaches them that anything could grow if you just nurture them, if you just nurture it. And I think that children would be able to learn that and be valuable assets in our society in the future.
Good. And what are the ways that people can avoid food waste?
Oh, there are a lot, as I have observed, there are a lot of food wastage here in our country, here in our town. I think that the government should be able to address the issue by by implementing laws that could give excess food to those who are in need and to those who are living in the slums and in the countryside. There are a lot of areas here in the Philippines that have children who do not have anything to eat at dinner. And I think that there are quite some few establishments who do a lot of wastage with their products. I think that they should have the initiative to be able to save a bit and share those food with others.
Excellent. And that ends the speaking portion of your test.
Oh, wow.
Yay, you did it. How do you feel?
Well, I wasn't really expecting to be here because it was just last notice last night, when I told Sir Jeff that I wanted to be part of the speaking test with you. And then I was surprised that, okay, you're in. He said you're in. And when I woke up a while ago, it's a Sunday here in the Philippines, I told myself that from now on, every speaking practice would be, I would treat every speaking practice like it is the real deal. Because it's just a few days away and I can't afford to not having, I have to take it seriously.
Exactly.
It all depend. It all depends. The result of the test will clearly dictate what my future holds, and I'm just hoping for a good score.
Yeah, I can tell that you have such a great attitude. I think Jeff would say the same thing, and that's a great attitude for everyone to have, to take every speaking opportunity as a good chance to practice and not take it lightly, especially since you're so close. So yeah, let's talk about the questions that we went over. So what is your favorite bread? And I find these ones like really difficult because they're so broad, but they're so simple. And how do you talk about that? But you did a great job. You said, oh, wow, I eat a lot of carbs and bread, or you said carbohydrates, and bread is one of them. And then you said, I'm quite fond of croissants. And I liked how you said it the American way, because we do not say croissants like the French, but we say croissants. So yeah, you did a great job. And I liked your beginning, oh, wow. And then you said, I'm quite fond of, rather than just saying I like. And then you went over lots of different kinds of things. And you took it from, the category of carbohydrates down to breads. You could call it starches, breads, whatever you want. So it was really natural and very good. And I could feel your emotion when you talk about it, that you like bread.
Yeah.
Like me. And then I asked, have you tried to bake? You said, yeah. So if you're able to not say the that's my only, like, if I'm going to be extremely picky, and it's very hard for me to find anything wrong with what you answered in all of this. So if I'm going to be extremely picky, just drop the and just be like, yeah, I did try to bake when I was in high school. So, I mean, and I wanted to say, sometimes when you're talking, you do that repetition, but I think you did it in a way that makes it sound so natural, because when I'm talking to people, I'll say the same word twice, be like, yeah, oh yeah, definitely, just to kind of give that emphasis. And I think you did a good job. You said, yeah, I did try to bake when I was in high school. It was me and my best friend, and we were in their kitchen and we tried to bake a birthday cake for their brother. You said, in the end, we were able to pull it off. So if someone doesn't know what pull it off means, how would you explain that to them? We were able to
do it exactly what we're supposed to be planning to do.
Yeah.
To do it.
Yeah. So
it's
if
just
you
another term.
Yeah. So when you pass the Ielts, after you pass it, which I know you're going to, you say, oh, I was able to pull it off. I could do it. I accomplished my goal. So yeah, we were able to pull it off, as a great idiom or collocation to use. You said it was edible. So that's a great way of saying it. Nobody died and it was a success, right? And you did some great job talking about the details of the cake as well. And good job talking in the past tense as well. And then the last one, how often do you eat cake? You said, oh, wow. So you said, oh, wow, in the first one. And then you said, oh, wow, in the third. So, I don't know what's a good replacement for wow. Rather than, oh, wow, I love cake. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, I love cake. He said, I usually eat cake when I'm stressed at work and tired and exhausted. You said, cake makes me happy because, it's wheat and it releases serotonin. You just have a lot of really good vocabulary. Do you read a lot, Michelle? I was just curious if you are an avid reader.
Yes, I do actually.
I can tell.
And I watch a lot of films.
Yeah.
I enjoy a lot of films.
It feels like everything that you do, you use as an opportunity to just be absorbing more knowledge. And I can feel it because it comes back out when you're talking. So it's good. And so yeah, it releases serotonin. So it's just some great vocabulary. We talked about the cake being edible and serotonin and carbohydrates and but it's very natural speaking, very natural conversation as well. And then the best bake shop, So I don't use the word bake shop, but that's perfectly fine. Here we call them a bakery. Is there any, people can put in the chat other things that you use for bake shop, bakery, I don't know, corner store, lots of different things. And you said, I've been privileged, very privileged. So like I said, there's some of that repetition, but you added very in front of it to add more emphasis. So you said, I've been privileged, actually very privileged, to taste some of the most exquisite, that's a great word and a hard word to say, exquisite foods. And you said, I think one of the most, and then was it not Dewey's Bake Shop, but someplace else? Because my bird was chirping when you said the name. Can you say the name of the bake shop one more time?
Julie's Bake Shop.
Julie's Bake Shop. Thank you. This bird is so annoying. And now it's looking at me. You said Julie's Bake Shop here in the Philippines. You said, in the past, because I'm a nursing student, we used to find a lot of sources of food and refreshments. So me and my group of nursing friends, we went on this expedition, which is another great word. Rather than just we went out and looking, we went on an expedition to find cheap local foods that could fit into our budgets. And you said the thing I could remember from that bake shop was the pizza bread. And then you do some great job to add more information to keep your 2 minutes going. You said, and besides that, and then you said, in addition to that, there was ube bread. And then you talked about cinnamon rolls were sold in the shop. And you said, I think in the future, if I would be given a chance to franchise, which is another great word, you would do that. You said because first of all, it's affordable, it's practical, and in my opinion, and then you went on because you had a few more seconds left, you gave a recommendation. So you just keep using all these great strategies to keep your 2 minutes going. It was wonderful. I was like, yes, but I didn't want to show it to you while you were talking. So it was very good job, and some great strategies. So we were going to tell people, Mitch, how they could continue their 2 minutes. So you talk about the topic, then you give some details about the topic, like the food, the variety, you add on more information, and then you talked about future tense and then recommendations. So, and then your 2 minutes is over, right? Easy peasy. Yeah. And then the third one, a piece of cake, right? Literally a piece of cake or pizza bread. Yeah, I said, do you think in the future people will go for organic food? And that's an odd expression, but I like that Jeff put that kind of question in here and put it very natural. What does go for organic food mean if someone doesn't know what that means?
Would opt for?
Yeah, they would opt for or choose. Yeah, prefer. Yeah. So it's almost like if you're in school, you can say, oh, what degree are you going to go for? What are you going to attempt to acquire, attempt to get, or something like that. So to go for something means to choose it, to pick it, right? So yeah. So do you think in the future people will choose organic food? And you said, well, perhaps with the emerging technology we have, it is quite possible. So there's some great modal verbs here. Perhaps, it's possibility. You said, and that is that organic is safe and it's free from free radicals, which is some great vocabulary as well. That are safe for our bodies. And then you went on to be more specific. You said an example would be vegetables that you can grow in your own home and stuff like that, or your own backyard. And then I said, is it good to teach children about farming? Why or why not? And here you said, in my opinion, farming is one of the most basic and humble of all jobs. You said myself, I have experienced living in a farm and experienced my grandmother doing that kind of job. And I think children should be taught. So you gave kind of an idea about farming in general, and then you brought it right back to the question. So that's a great strategy there too, to talk about farming and then come back to the question about children and farming. You said it teaches them humility and that anything can be grown if you just nurture it. And then what are the ways people can avoid food waste? You said, oh, there are a lot. The only word here is wastage. So wastage is not technically a word that we would use. So you can say, I've observed there is a lot of food waste. So you just say food waste, or a lot of wasted food is another way of saying it. So You said, I think that the government should be able to address the issue by implementing laws to give excess food or extra food to those that are in need. And you said there are a lot of areas here in the Philippines that have children that don't have food to eat at dinner. And you said, I think there are a lot of establishments who do a lot of food wastage or who have a lot of food waste. And then you talked about how they could be incentivized, like the government could, encourage them to do that, sort of lead by example and show them how to not. And then you can even tie it back into the question before. And you can say, as I mentioned before, teaching children about farming and things like that could also help our future generations learn how to use every bit of the food and not let things go to waste. So, yeah, I think you did a great job. I mean, your friends seem super excited in the chat for you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, you did a great job. Jeff?
Yep. So first, I would like to read the comments, and like what Mandy said, Sheena, she said, wow. Lolibet, the one who will be next, she said, you're good. You're so good, Ma'am Mitch. I'm anxious now. To put pressure on the next candidate. Okay. But overall, your part one, you really did well. I love your pronunciation, everything, donation, the flow, vocabularies, and then part two, the techniques really well. So I could not ask anymore. But on part three also you have a good answer. Like what Manny said, there's some only repetitions of words because sometimes you cannot, do anything because you want to say something. So just if you can do something about repetition, I put some note like children, and I think you use that like more than twice. So try to think another words. And plus the ube cake. I don't know if it's international word now, the ube, but if you will talk about local something, you need to explain what is this or translate in English. I think ube is a purple yam. So
Yeah, she did mention that it was purple.
The purple
but yeah,
bread.
if it's a cuisine specific to the Philippines, like I know what pandesal is because I've had it, but I don't know what ube is. But when you said purple, I was like, oh, okay, it's just some kind of purple bread. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so overall, Mitch, I think, you are ready and you're
Mhm.
amazing. I'm happy with your performance. Well, actually, I'm smiling. She knows everything. I think. How long you been practicing? Because I think you know the formula.
Um, I just started practicing with you guys last week
Mm.
because I'm at first I wasn't really catching all of the schedules because of work, and I thought that the Zoom meetings were just a few hours. I didn't know that they would last for 24 hours as long as there are participants. So it's just so late that I found that out. And last week I just started
Okay.
attending and getting information and techniques and copying some of the members'
Yeah.
words, which were really good. I stole them mostly.
Yep.
Hey.
Well,
Well,
actually, that's one of the benefits of attending the speaking group. You can copy because the examiner will not know that you just copied them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you still have one more week, Mitch. So good luck to you.
Thank
You did
you.
well. So we're expecting for you. Okay. Good luck.
Jeff, you've got Mel in the comments asking, can the term you allowed to be used? I'm not sure what that
Yeah.
means.
Mel, what do you mean? Can the term you allowed to be used?
The word you.
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 Okay.
You.
It depends on the question because if the question is, do you think? Of course, you will answer like you. Which part, Mel?
Yeah, was there a specific part here where we used you? I'm trying to look at
Okay.
Mitch's
If the
answer.
question, Mel, it's not like a general topic, it looks sound like personal. You
Oh,
can answer
in any
but
part in speaking.
yeah, any part. Of course, especially in part one. You just need to be careful on part three because Part 3 is general. So you need to answer it in general way. Yeah.
So
Okay.
first person is I, second person is you. So I think part 3 would be more like third person, like they, we, people versus second person. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe.
But you need
Okay.
to be careful with you on part 2 and part 3. Okay. Part 1 is personal. Okay. Thank you so much, Mitch. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mel.
Mitch. It was
You
nice to
can
meet
chat
you.
me if you have questions. So we can move forward to our next candidate. Hello, Lolly. How are you?
Can she hear me? Can you hear her?
You're mute.
Hi.
Oh yeah, hi
I
Lolly.
am mute already. Hi, Mandy. I'm so anxious right now.
Oh, you're fine.
Mitch is
You're
so
fine.
good. This
Just
is my
let her.
first time. Please go easy on me.
No. I would say if you're anxious about Mitch, don't let Mitch compare yourself to Mitch. Just allow Mitch's answers to inspire you.
Yeah.
The way that she speaks.
Okay.
So yeah.
But
No
this is my
compare-
first time on my speaking mock.
Okay.
My first time. So I'm a bit anxious and I just want to learn how it goes.
Yeah, that's why you're here. I told Jeff before I came that I'm really nervous because I feel out of practice as well, since I haven't been with you guys in so many weeks. So
Yes.
yeah, I feel nervous too. So would you like me to call you Lolly or Lolly Beth? What would you like to go by?
You can call me Lollipop.
Lollipop? Okay.
That's my nickname.
That's such a cool name. I like that song. The old version, not the new version. We'll clarify that. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. So,
Okay.
Lollipop, can you live without a cell phone?
Well, I cannot live without a cell phone nowadays. Technology is in demand, and cell phone were used for communication to people, especially for our loved ones. Especially my husband was in abroad, so I need to talk with him every day, and a cell phone is one of the means to communicate with my husband.
And who was the last person that you sent a text message or a chat message to?
The last person that I sent message was my husband because I need to update her. I update him about our son.
Good. And do you use emojis when sending messages?
Yes, I use emojis, especially when I'm busy. It's the easiest way to communicate with him without even um, without even texting or messaging.
Good. All right. Are you ready for part 2?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to read the question. Jeff's going to put it on the screen. And Lolly, if you cannot see it, let us know. And I'll wait for Jeff. Jeff, let me know when you have it on the screen and then I'll read it to her. There it is. Okay. So I'll read it and then I'll give you a minute. So describe the person in your life that you admire for controlling his or her temper or emotions. And you'll have a minute after I finish. Say who this person is. What is your relationship with him or her? And what's the situation in which he or she managed his or her emotions? And can you handle your emotions well? And you can have a minute to prepare now. Okay, Lolly. So that is 1 minute, and you can begin speaking when you're ready.
Okay. That's my son. The person that I admired because she can control her emotions was my mother. Her name is Lalita Trino. And the situations that I'd admire that she can control is that whenever, especially because uh, I'm the only one who took care of my son, and my mother also support me for taking care of him. So I need her guidance. And whenever my son had a tantrum, my mother helped me to calm him down. So I think that's the situations that I really admire my mom, that I wanted her guidance for that. Whenever Liam has a tantrum, he just speak to him with a calm voice, and he just tell him that this thing was not good, not that was not good, and she always tell Liam what to do, and she made my son divert uh, whatever like he's angry. He just tried my mother just tried to distract him. And and for me, that's why I needed her guidance, because uh sometimes I can control my emotions, since I am a first time mom. Handling emotions was really uh hard and part of being a mother, but I'm learning to control, especially when teaching my son the right character for his growth.
Okay, very good. All right, let's move on to part 3. You're fine. You're fine. I like him talking in the background. That's so cute.
Okay.
So, Lollipop, how important is communication in the world?
Well, communication is very essential for people to communicate uh, to one another. So for me, it's really uh, it's really vital for people uh, to to express one's language, one's emotions, on how they could better uh, deliver themselves, or what they could want people to know about him or how about her.
Okay. And do you think the world should speak one language? And if so, what should that language be?
For me, we really have our universal language, which is English. I think it's important to have one language for us to uh, communicate as one country to other country, and it also gives a sense of unity for the world. And uh, it helps us to engage to other country as well, in terms of economy or uh, politics, that we could also contribute to other country. We may express ourselves or country to country if we have one language that we use.
Okay. And the last one, why do you think other countries require a person to pass their language test in order to work or live in that country? And I'll read it. It's a
I
long question,
think,
so let me read it one more. Let me read it one more time. Why do you think other countries require a person to pass their language test in order to live or work in that country?
I think I think other countries require other countries to pass, especially like for example uh in foreign country like United States, UK, England, or New Zealand. They require Filipinos or other countries, Asia especially, to take like the international English language test, which is the Ielts, or the occupational English test for professionals, because they wanted to assess how they would able to communicate to other people, especially the locals from their country. So they will be able uh, to help them in ways that, like for example, they're going to, if they are a nurse, they will be able to better help or take care of the patient they're going uh, to handle in that country.
And that concludes the speaking portion of the test. What's your son's name? Is it Liam, right?
Yes, it's Liam.
Hi, Liam.
He's hungry.
He's a hungry boy. I know. Kids are always hungry, aren't they? So while Liam has his bottle, we will go over your questions. Did you have any questions for me or anything you wanted to say about how you felt you did or the questions that you were given? I know
think
you're
done
juggling
first.
3 things at once.
Yes, I have a repetition. I'm so nervous, and sometimes I have blanks like that.
Yeah, you draw a blank. Yeah.
I'm so nervous.
That's okay. And Lollybeth, when you use that word blank, that you have blanks, you can say that while you're talking. It's very natural and very normal to say, actually, I'm drawing a blank right now, but let me try to continue talking about this, or it escapes my mind the word that I'm looking for, but this is what I'm trying to say. So rather than just like freezing or repeating what you just said, say out loud what you're feeling, and it's okay. You're still speaking and communicating in English. So yeah. So the thing I would work on for you, and I don't know when your test is I would work on when you are given a question, try to not parrot or repeat the question back in the answer. So that's a good exercise, I think, for lots of people. And Jeff, I don't know if you guys work on it or have like exercises that you try, but for me personally, if I have the question, can you live without a cell phone? I would write it down, and I would write down, I cannot live without a cell phone. And I would say, no, I can't use that one. And I would say, how can I say this in a different way? So take the word cell phone and start your answer with, cell phones nowadays are really essential, especially for me. So that's kind of changing the answer from the question. Does that make sense at all? Oh my gosh, did he just fall asleep that fast? So does it make sense what I'm saying, Lolly, about taking the question and even writing it down and saying, okay, this is how I cannot say it back, and I'm going to restructure it to give a different answer.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah. If you have time. I know you're extremely busy, but for me, sometimes writing it down helps a lot, because when I have the physical, people are different kinds of learners. Like they're oral learners, they're kinesthetic learners, they're visual learners. And so when I add the writing part of it to it, my brain seems to take it a little bit better. So you said, well, I cannot live without a cell phone nowadays. Technology is in demand, and cell phones are used to communicate to our loved ones. And this one is a great part 3 beginning, and then you changed it to part 1, which is great. You said, especially my husband, who is abroad, and a cell phone is one of the means that I use to communicate with him. So on that part 1, make sure you keep it about me, my, I. Try to use, don't just say cell phones in general are used to communicate to our say, I use a cell phone all the time to talk with my husband. So yeah, keep it to part like that, make that personal. And you can even give a specific story and say, actually, I just used my cell phone to video chat with him yesterday to talk about our son, and this is what we did. So when you have a story to tell, it talks really, you speak really well. And then who's the last person you sent a text message or chat to? Again, you said the last person that I sent a message to was, so just go right into and say, my husband. So you can answer just directly, my husband. He was the last person that I texted because I needed to update him about our son. And that answer was really short. So tell me what you said. What did you use? WhatsApp? Did you use text message? Did you use Facebook Messenger? Did you use a video chat? Like, what more could you tell me about that last interaction? So what would you tell me right now? You said, my husband was the last person that I sent a text to, and we talked about.
We actually had a video call with with my husband, and we talk about how our son had his first language.
Okay.
First language.
His first words?
He just said mommy.
Oh.
Yes, his first words.
Yeah.
It's mommy, egg, and nanay. It's like a grandma.
Yeah, that's great.
And
that's perfect.
And and we also talk about how he played with the chickens.
Oh, very good. Yeah. So if you keep it really personal, you have plenty of things to say. But just make sure, I actually accidentally led you in the wrong direction because the question asked about texting or chatting, and I said video. So you can say, actually, I don't text that much with my husband because we have a son and he wants to see our son. So the last person I video chatted with was my husband so he could see our son. Does that make sense? So I talked about texting in the question, but if you don't want to talk about texting in the answer, you can say, actually, we don't, or you can say, and after I text my husband, I'm really appreciative of texting because it allows me to send him a quick message while I'm on the go, chasing my son or working or doing something like that. So good. Okay. And then do you use emojis when sending messages? You said, yes, I use emojis, especially when I am busy. It's the easiest way to communicate with him without even texting. And here, instead of saying easiest way to communicate with him, pretend that I don't know who him is, and then you'll be able to use more words. It's the easiest way to communicate with my husband. And you can say, as I mentioned before, he's the main person that I call, that I chat, that I text with. And emojis are one way that we, communicate without even using words. Have you used the term nonverbal communication before?
Yeah. What? Again?
That's okay. Have you used the term nonverbal communication? Nonverbal?
I forgot because I lost.
That's okay. No, that's okay.
But it's in the tip of my tongue.
That's okay. No. I'm just giving it to you as like another way to say communicate without words. So like if you have nonverbal communication with your son all the time, because he doesn't talk yet. And so emojis are almost like, you could say, I love emojis because they're quick, they're funny. People can interpret them in many different ways. Like I think the poop emoji looks like icing on a cupcake, but my husband thinks it looks like poop. So, or you can talk about your favorite. You can be really specific and say, our favorite emoji to send back and forth to each other is this emoji. Or we play a game where we send only emojis and see if we can guess what the other person is meaning. It doesn't even have to be something real. So yeah, just try to make it a tiny bit longer on that last one. And I know that's difficult because, honestly, the answer is just, yeah, we do send emojis. And you don't really need to say more, but in the Ielts, they want you to say more. So, okay. And then let's move on to part 2. Describe a person in your life you admire for controlling his or her temper or emotions. That's a hard one. That's a really hard question. And this one, you had a lot of good ideas. I would just try to organize them. And I know you have Liam with you right now, but when you're in the Ielts, look at those bullet points and they will really help you organize and go in an order. Or you can think of an order on your own. Like Jeff loves to use the who, what, where, when, and then kind of why or how did that make me feel? So this one asks you who the person is, what is your relationship, tell the situation, and then talk about how you handle your emotions. So you said the person that I admire because she controls her emotions is my mother. Her name is Lilibeth. So instead of saying the person that I admire, or you can go right into and say, I really admire my mother, Lilibeth. She is excellent at controlling her emotions and her temper, especially when it comes to dealing with my son. And that sort of restates the question. You said, I'm the only one who takes care of my son, and my mom is supporting me. So this is, I've heard one of the other students in Jeff's and Marvin's and Gladys's group, the IFNG group, they say, one person used a strategy that I liked. They said, to give you a little background, I am taking care of my son alone right now because my husband is away. And on top of that, I'm also working. So that's kind of giving the person like what the situation is. And that gives you more talking too. So you can say, to give a little background, I'm the one who takes care of my son and my mother is supporting me. You said, and whenever my son have a tantrum or has a tantrum, my mom helps me to calm him down. You said, whenever Liam has a tantrum, or you can say, my son, Liam, when he is having a fit, because you use the word tantrum twice, so we can say tantrum, temper tantrum, fit, F-I-T, the word fit. She speaks to him with a calm voice. So you take your voice and she speaks to him like this with a calm voice. And if you do that, it's great. It's very good intonation as well to tell him that this is not good. And she always helps Liam to tell him what to do. And she diverts him from whatever he is angry about. And my mother just tries to distract him. You said, and for me, that's why I need her guidance, because sometimes I cannot control my emotions because I am a first-time mom. Handling emotions is a really hard part of being a mother, and I am learning to control. I really liked how at the end here, you kind of went into that progressive, I am learning to. So you were talking about past tense, and then you moved into kind of like that future strategy that we learned from Mish. So good job there.
Thank you.
I'm trying to be quiet and not wake him up. Is he okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good. He's so sweet. All right. But yeah, especially on that part 2, I would try to just keep it organized. And Lollybeth, even a good strategy for you is to not just think about in general how she helps you, but get really specific and say, yesterday, Liam, my son Liam, threw a fit over, and you can just make something up because he didn't want to have bananas. He really wanted to have peaches instead. And my mom, she lowered her voice and spoke to him in this calm manner and told him, and then you can say what she said, what she did specifically. And when you tell that specific story, it really helps, anchor, and you're not trying to name all these abstract things. When we get really specific, we speak much better, I think personally. So you can give the specific incident or make one up. I know my kids always threw a fit when they wanted candy before dinner. Or something sweet. All right, so the third one, how important is communication in the world? And I want to give you a strategy for part 3 that works for me, because a lot of times I just intrinsically know in my mind, yes, Organic food is good. Communication is good. These things are good, but I don't know how to explain why they are good. So I try to say, what would happen if we didn't have communication in the world? So I could say, and this is what you could do. You said, well, communication is very essential for people. And then you said to communicate to one another. So that's not technically answering, but you can say, if we didn't have communication, can you imagine what the world would be like? We could not have, we could not trade with other countries. We could not solve disputes. You can even bring up the Russia-Ukraine thing if you really want to right now. That's one. Or you can bring up a specific one. You could say, as I mentioned, I'm a first-time mom, and communication is essential for mothers and children to be able to teach each other and to learn and things like that. So you can sort of say what would happen if you didn't have communication, so that it is a way to explain why it's important. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah. And then you can get really specific, if you want to talk about communication between parents and children or communication at school. And you also kind of a little bit further down, we were talking, you talked about communication in terms of global communication between countries. So that's a really great part 3 as well. And then I said, do you think the world should speak one language? And if so, what would that language be? You said, for me, we really have our universal language, which is English. I think it's important for us to have one language to communicate as one country to another. And it also gives a sense of unity for the world and helps us to engage with other countries well in terms of economy and politics. This is a great answer. And that we can also contribute to other countries. So I hear a lot of and. So you could say, in addition, on top of that. You don't have to say and to keep the sentence going. You can end a sentence and then add more information on top of that. Or in addition to what I just said, we can also do this or do that. And then you said, we may express ourselves country to country if we have one language that we use. So yeah, that's good. I think you did a good job there. And then, why do you think other countries require a person to pass their language test in order to work or live in their country? You said, I think other countries require. So they said require. So we're going to use a different word. So you could say, I think it's mandatory to pass a language test in a foreign country like the US, the UK, New Zealand. And you said, because they want to assess how that person would be able to communicate to others, especially the locals from their country. So they could be able to help them in ways. And you said, for example, if they are a nurse, they would be able to better help or take care of the patient they are going to handle in that country. And that's a great job right there. On part 3, you give an answer about the topic, and then you go into a specific example. So yeah, my main thing is working on not parroting the question in your answer, and then just on those longer ones, try to organize your answers. And if it was me personally, I would say it out loud, record it, and then I would go back and look at my answer, and then maybe I would try to move some words around and put it in a logical order. That's just how I study. I don't know how you study though. So,
I'll practice it, Mandy. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
no problem. Jeff, do you have some things that you want to say too?
Of course, yes. Well, actually, Lolly is one of my colleagues before in the Philippines.
Yay!
So I know her. She's very sweet and soft-spoken. So what I want to say to Lolly, I would like to say thank you and congratulate her because of being brave. Because not everyone in the group I'm calling like for the whole day who wants to practice. And then the last 2 they want to speak. Okay. So thank you. See, even if you have baby, so try to show enthusiasm or eagerness, you will get your goal. So Thank you for that, Loli.
Thank you
Job well
too.
done on that. And for the comments already mentioned by Mandy, so my advice is just only practice in the group so you will know what are the techniques. Okay, especially the repetitions and the style to answer in part two. Yeah, that's it, Lolly. I wish you could do more practice in our
Thank
group.
you.
Mandy, let's just read the question.
Yeah,
In
go
the
for
chat
it.
box. Sheena said, may I ask, ma'am, is it okay if you will be asked to stop talking while doing your monologue during part two? Um, Actually, the meaning if the examiner try to stop you in the during your exam, it's just either you do good or you do well, but if they can get the answers that where they're looking for and then they assess that you really are good, they will tend to stop you. But usually if you cannot um, speak well, they try to encourage you to speak more. So yeah, so it doesn't matter if they will stop you, but I think it would be suggest you can assess yourself if you did well. So it might be the reason that yeah she's okay. So they
Yeah,
can
I
we can
think
move on.
yeah, in part two they'll yeah, and that's the thing we also say is if they stop you in part two and in part three, don't be offended. Like it doesn't mean you did something wrong necessarily. Sometimes they have a time limit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from Maria, is it better to answer the questions directly or rephrase? Maria, either of the two, it's perfect. Well, actually, if you will answer direct question or rephrase or paraphrase it, it's better. It's more good if you will try to show these two types of strategy. So it will make a variety of style. So
Yeah,
you can do both.
definitely.
Rather than you will answer paraphrase and then the next question you will paraphrase again. So better paraphrase one or then you can go direct answer. So it will be look more good. Okay. Next question. Wait, I need to scroll down.
If the examinee missed to answer all the bullet points, will he or she lose marks? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the main question, right, Jeff? Correct me if I'm wrong, the main question is the first question they ask. The bullet points are there to assist you. If you need the bullet points, use them. If you don't need the bullet points, you do you.
Yeah. You just need to answer based on the question. If it's past tense, you need to answer past tense, and you need to speak within 2 minutes. So that's it. That's why you can have your own strategy, like in IFNG. You can do introduction like what Mitch said before the answer. Before she answered the question, she gave a little bit background, introduction, and then the what, when, where, who, and then recommendation in the future if you're running out of the time. So Mitch really did well on that. So yeah, so you can do that style, but it will not affect your score.
Yeah, they
Okay.
don't, the bullet points are not mandatory.
Okay. And for those questions who are asking about third person, part two and part three, it's better if you part two because it's also a personal question. It's about your experience, so you can use not necessary to be third person. But in part three, most of the questions are general. So make it like you're talking in the public. You're giving speech. Okay, not only to one person. So yeah, depends on the question. Thank you. Isa, is this will be posted later? Yeah, and uploaded on YouTube. Okay, thank you so much, Lolly, and we will move on to our next candidate. There's a question again. It's PM. Guys, if you have question, make it in to everyone. Send it to everyone. Is
Yeah,
there a
yeah.
chance that if I miss including idioms? Well, idioms, some of them they said it's not necessarily well actually idioms is part of the criteria if you can use, but the problem with idioms if you will just use it and it's not appropriate, it looks tacky, it sounds tacky. So if it's not fit, do not use, make it sounds natural, not just only because you want to throw idioms you will just say it, right? So
And can
yeah,
you repeat the tips for part two from Mitch?
part two, yeah. Hello, can you repeat the question? For part two, introduction, and then you can do introduction about general topic. For example, talk about your the person you admire. So just discuss about admiration or about tempered, anger management, something like that. And then you will talk about the person. So yeah, and then for if you're running out of time, you can use the in the future recommendation. So my advice, practice in the group so you will know the techniques. Okay, thank you. So can we move on to our last candidate? Can we call on Nasif? Hi, Nasif.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
My battery charger, sorry. Go ahead, keep
All right.
going.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you feel, Nasir? So don't be shy, don't be nervous.
Yes.
You will get through this. So just for the information of everyone, where are you right now, Nasir? So while waiting for Mandy.
Oh yeah, it drains it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually here
I
in
think it's
Saudi
in there with
Arabia.
the camera.
Where are you? You're in
Saudi
Saudi Arabia.
Arabia. Yeah.
So are
Specifically,
you a
I'm here
student or you're working there?
I am working here as a nurse in Abha. It's in the southern region of the kingdom.
Sorry.
Okay. So yes. How long you been practicing this IELTS?
Actually, I practiced for the IELTS speaking 2 days ago, and I was scheduled also I scheduled myself for practice this day. However, there's an opportunity. That's why I also grab it, even though it's my first time for the mock test. But I
Okay.
think it's better to try.
So
with
yeah,
Miss Mandy.
so do not we will not prolong your agony. So I will give you now to Mandy.
Sorry. I didn't want the computer to die in the middle. Hi Nasif, how are you?
Hi, Miss Mandy. I'm great. A little bit nervous.
That's okay. I'm nervous too. All right. So I missed where are you living right now?
Right now, I'm currently here in Saudi Arabia, in the southern part of Saudi. It's in Abha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Wonderful. All right. Well, I will jump right into it. So Nasif, what kinds of weather do you have in your country?
So weather in my country, usually it is mostly summer than rainy season. And I feel like it is really wonderful to be in a tropical country just like ours.
And do you live in a very, or sorry, not do you, but can you or could you live in a very cold country?
To be honest with you, at this moment, I am currently living in the southern region of Saudi Arabia, wherein I am living with the climate is actually very colder compared to other parts of the region, and it's actually very good.
Okay. And have you ever visited a ski mountain resort?
I would like to I would like to recall. I believe that I was able to visit a mountain resort in my hometown, and the experience was really fun.
Good. All right. Are you ready for part two?
Yes, let's go.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's do it. All right. So I'm going to give you a minute after Jeff puts it on the screen. Well, a minute after I read it. Sorry. Okay.
Mandy, can you please read because I forgot
Yeah.
to flash. Okay, wait.
No,
Yeah.
that's okay. No, do you want me to put it in the chat too for Nasif? So he has the.
I will flash it now, but yeah, you can read.
Okay, I'll read it. I'll go ahead and read it. So Nasif, describe the best ice cream you've ever tasted. You should say, what's the brand and flavor? Where can you buy this? How much is it? And explain when was the last time you had this ice cream. So I'll read it one more time. Describe the best ice cream you've ever tasted. What's the brand and flavor? Where can you buy this? How much is this? And explain when was the last time you had this ice cream or treat, whatever you want to call it. And you can have a minute to prepare now. With these food questions. Okay, Nasif, that is 1 minute and you can begin speaking whenever you're ready.
Okay, so at this moment, I'm going to share with you this the best ice cream I've ever tasted. So I believe that ice cream is one of the comfort foods of most of the youngsters in this modern era, wherein I believe that ice cream is actually very tasteful and delicious. It's actually a type of dessert wherein it could alleviate your mood to be in a good mood. So the brand and flavor that I could remember which was a local brand. It's called Zamboanga's Cream. It is my hometown's name, which is Zamboanga. So I believe that I am a person that supports local products, and these products are something that is not just delicious but also could help boost our economy, especially our city. So this, to be specific, the flavor that I really love was the strawberry filled because it's really creamy, it's delicious, and I feel like when you taste or have a taste of it, it would put you in a good mood. So we can buy this in the eastern part of my hometown, which is in the barangay of Camino. And apart from that, the price is very affordable as compared to the local to other brands that are available in the market. And the last time that I have tasted this one was just 6 months ago. That is why I'm very much enthusiastic to share about this, because this experience of mine was something that I really would love to try once again. And I feel like this experience could have been better if I could share it to people, most especially to other nationalities or people living inside the Philippines. Most especially that Philippines is an archipelagic country wherein uh, the access to different islands and provinces could be.
There you go. Thank you. Sorry. Good job. All right. So let's move on to part 3. I just want to let everyone know I'm really hungry after this lesson. I just ate and all this food talk is not fair. So, okay, let's move on to part 3. So, now should the government regulate the amount of sugar added in a certain project?
I believe that sugar added could cause mostly not just harm to people, but also it could also give people the emotions or behavior wherein it could help them uh, be stress free. So if ever that the government would add tax to sugar or sugary products, it could give an impact both negatively and positively. For example, for on a positive side, it would help the regulation. It would help regulate the health of of its citizen, and on the negative side is that of course it will not be affordable.
Okay. And should parents allow their children to do extreme sports?
Extreme sports might harm people, especially young individual, and I think that parental guidance is very important, especially that they are the ones nurturing their children. So if I believe that it is important for them to be aware of these negative impacts of extreme sports. That's why they need to be with their children in most of the decisions that they wish to pursue in the making.
Okay. And what are the advantages and disadvantages of giving flowers during Valentine's Day?
I believe that the positive impacts of giving flowers or beautiful flowers to people during Valentine's Day, it would give people the happiest day, or could be happiest day of their lives. And I think uh, the disadvantage would be there will be some people who would think that they are invaluable if they could not receive such beautiful items such as flowers.
Okay. All right. And that concludes the speaking portion of the test. How do you feel?
I'm still there.
You're
I
still
don't know.
nervous? Take a
Yeah.
breath. Take a breath. Was there any question that was like, whoa, where did that come from? Or any question you felt was like, yeah, that one was so easy? Anyone that was really difficult?
I think the questions were really good. I feel like I feel like I wasn't able to answer it well because maybe because I'm really conscious about this. Yeah, I was really conscious about the words that I wish to say, and I feel like some of my answers were actually out of topic, but still,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you still gave every single one a try, and that's important. So that's good. Yeah. So let's go to part one. I said, what kinds of weather do you have in your country? And you said, so weather in my country, it is usually mostly summer, then rainy season. And you said, I feel like it's really wonderful to be able to live in a tropical country. So I am from the United States, and here where I used to live, we have 4 seasons. Where I'm living now, we'd only have 2. So I don't know as a foreigner what a rainy season is. So you might want to extend it by saying what rainy season means, because not the whole world doesn't know what rainy and dry season means. I only learned it because I've traveled a little. And so you could say, and you know, what I mean by that is during these months of the year, we have a large amount of rain. And then during these months, we have a lot of some sun, you know, dry, whatever. And yeah, which one is your favorite? How does it make you feel? Does it have any impact on your activities? Things like that. Or you can say what season you're in right now. So yeah. And then I said, could you live in a very cold country? And you said, to be honest with you, at this moment, I'm currently living in the southern region of Saudi Arabia where the climate is colder. And that's great, you said, and it's actually very good. So before that, you had some great words and then you used good. And I'm like, good, I know you know more words than good. So instead of saying the weather is good, how does it feel to you? It's pleasant, it's enjoyable. I find it very relaxing. It's a nice change of pace compared to living in the Philippines. Give me some better words. I know you know more. So tell me right now, rather than saying that it's good or nice, which are those very easy words to say, tell me what you want to say.
The experience is excellent.
It's excellent, yeah. So why? Because do you have a cool breeze? Do you have a break in the heat?
Because
What makes it excellent?
because for me it's very unusual as someone living in a tropical country. It's very unusual for me to be able to experience such climate.
That's great. That's wonderful. You can say, you know, as I mentioned before, I grew up in the Philippines. It's a very tropical climate, and this is a nice change of pace or a nice change of climate for me. It's kind of a break in the heat, and I really enjoy it. Yeah. And you can even do that thing. If anyone had the chance to come here, I would really recommend that they experience this kind of weather. And then have you ever visited a ski mountain resort? You said, I would like to recall. So you don't have to ask me permission. Just say, you know, I recall, or I if my memory serves me correctly, or if I remember correctly, I believe I was able to visit a mountain resort in my hometown, and the experience was really fun. And then you ended it. I want to know why it was fun. So tell me what made it fun, Nasif.
It was fun because overlooking the entire city is a great experience, most especially during the sunset, because it gives different vibrance, especially within the you can see the skies, the mountains from adjacent to the island and the ocean.
Okay. Was this a ski resort? Like you went skiing, snow skiing or water skiing?
No.
It wasn't? So yeah, just make sure you address that. And you can say, well, it wasn't a ski resort, it was a mountain resort. And and actually the question doesn't specify if it's snow ski or water ski. So I don't know which one. But yeah, so, and if people have never been to a ski resort, and I'll tell you the last time I went to a ski thing was when I was like 3 or 4 years old. My parents took me, so I don't really have a very good memory of it. But you could say, you know, watching the Olympics recently has really made me want to visit one of these places. or something like that. The Winter Olympics, I think it would be invigorating. Or you could be like, heck no, I never want to go. I hate the cold. I hate the snow. Something like that. I wouldn't say heck no though. So sorry. And part 2, please describe the best ice cream you've ever tasted. And you said, so at this moment, I'm going to share with you the best ice cream that I've ever tasted. So that's fine. It's almost repeating the question back. So instead of that, you could say, let me tell you about the most delicious ice cream that I have ever experienced, that I've ever been given, that I've ever bought. Try a different word other than tasted. And then you said, I believe ice cream is one of the comfort foods that youngsters, and this is great, you're talking about the overall topic, so that's good. And I like the word comfort food. It's a really good collocation, that we like comfort food. And you said, I believe ice cream is very tasteful. Instead of saying tasteful, you want to say tasty. So tasty and delicious. You said it could alleviate your mood. And so I think what you mean is elevate versus alleviate. So alleviate means to get rid of your mood, and ice cream, for some people, maybe it gets rid of their mood, but it elevates your mood because it gives you that sugar rush, right? And so we want to say it can elevate your mood. And you said, and then you talked about this specific ice cream. It's called, and I liked how you explained the name of it based on where it's from. And I love how you also said, I'm a person that supports local products that would help our economy. And so this is one of the reasons why you buy it. You said the specific flavor that I loved was the strawberry field flavor. You said, when I taste this, it puts you in a good mood. So when I taste this, it puts me in a good mood. So you said so just stick to either when you taste this, it puts you in a good mood, or when I taste this, it puts me in a good mood. And like we talked about before, it's part 2. So it's about you. So you can say I and me. And you said you can buy it here. You said, apart from that, the price is very affordable compared to, so this was some great language. And the last time I tasted this was about 6 months ago. And you said, I feel like this experience could be better if I could share it with other people. So you went through a variety of tenses and, past tense, present tense, future tense. You had those modal verbs. If I could, I would, things like that. So I think that's a really good job. I feel like what you said is you're nervous because you're trying to use some really what you feel is advanced structures, advanced vocabulary. Just talk to me, and that's okay. Don't hurt yourself and slow yourself down by trying to make it so academic. Make it sound just really natural, I think. But I do like the ending here. You had a great strategy for other people. It could be better if I was able to share it with other people. Or I would recommend this flavor to anyone that likes strawberries. And I think, one bite of this ice cream can make your whole day just turn around, make you feel better. The next question is kind of difficult. Should the government regulate the amount of sugar added in a certain product? You said, I believe that sugar added could cause mostly not just harm to people, but it could give them. So here, you're telling me you have 2 opinions. So why don't you come out and state that? You can say, this is kind of a difficult question because sugar has, good side effects and bad side effects, or positive and negative side effects. It can cause harm as well as good. So you said, if ever the government could add tax to sugar or sugary products, and that's great. Sugary products is a great adjective, sugary products. You said it could give impact both negatively and positively. You said it would help regulate the health. And some other words you can throw in here. I don't know about you, but I know in the United States, we have a huge problem with obesity and diabetes related to sugar. So you could say, on the one hand, around the world, we have a large problem with obesity and diabetes. And I think sugar is a reason for that. So yes, regulating in that sense could be good. However, on the other hand, sugar brings a lot of people joy. As I mentioned before, it helps elevate your mood. And then, you can talk about that. So, but I do, like you said, regulate health and things like that. I liked how you talked about taxing it. So that's an interesting way, having a sugar tax. And that's a really good idea there too. And then, should parents allow their children to do extreme sports? This is great. You said extreme sports might harm people, especially young people. You talked about parents, they're the ones nurturing their children. So I believe it is important that they should be aware of the negative impacts. And since the Olympics is going on right now, can you think of an extreme sport in the Olympics that might be exciting for children, but also might be a bit dangerous? Can you think of any?
I think it's the Winter Olympics or the Olympics.
Any in general. So you can say, right now we're in the middle of the Olympics, and there's a lot of extreme sports that children might find very exciting and wonderful to be a part of. However, on the other hand, they are also quite dangerous, especially to young children whose bodies are still growing and forming.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So yeah, it's good to just, snowboarding. Yeah, you can be really, children are fragile. That's great, Jeff. Great words. Children are quite fragile. So yeah, I think your idea also about parents nurturing, and they should be involved in that. And I liked how you said the negative impacts. They should be aware of the negative impacts. You do a really good job with those modal verbs, should, could, would. So you're very good at that. And then, what are the advantages and disadvantages of giving flowers during Valentine's Day? We said, I believe the positive impacts of giving flowers to people during Valentine's Day is it will give people the happiest day of their lives. And the disadvantage is some people will think they are invaluable if they are not given flowers. So again, the word invaluable means that you're priceless, like you're amazing, you're wonderful. So it will make people feel they are devalued or that they have no value. So if you call something invaluable, it's so expensive, you can't put a price on it. So just make sure you don't use invaluable. It will make people think they are not valued or they are not loved or things like that. Because this is a part 3 question, let's throw it out there and say, you know what? There's a lot of good and I'm not good. There's a lot of positive and negatives to giving flowers during Valentine's Day. So when I said a lot of or a variety, I haven't said I have to give 3 here and 3 here. That just lets you open it up to give however many the examiner will allow you. And you can say, first, let's start with the positives. It helps boost the local economy. People can sell the flowers that they have grown. Second, it spreads love and, friendship amongst people. It makes them feel value and have the happiest days of their lives. However, on the negative side, flowers don't last forever. They die pretty quickly. And then also people who don't get flowers, they might feel kind of devalued or they might feel invisible during a holiday like Valentine's Day. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. You had some really great ideas here too. So have I been helpful at all? I hope so. Okay. And I'll let Jeff jump in too. I guess. Yeah, Nasif, do you have any questions?
For now, I do not have any question. It was clear. Thank you so much.
Okay.
But how do you feel, Nasser? Nasif,
I'm feeling good because Miss Mandy is actually very nice and everybody else is so
But don't expect that every examiner will be Mandy.
No. No. I can put my mean face on if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would just at least, it definitely expand that part 1. Because if you tell me something's good or something's fun, you are much more advanced than good and fun in your vocabulary. I've seen it. And so show it to me and then tell me why. If you don't tell me why something's good, why something's fun, I don't know. And feel like you can explain it. It's okay. Sorry, Jeff, I interrupted. Go ahead.
It's okay. Say hello to Grandma again. It's all. Okay. Nasser, for my comment, Well, actually, I love your tone. I love your tone, the voice. So it's very clear. So it's good because the examiner will understand it really well. But please pay attention with the question. So you need to listen about the question. What is asked? You need to give the answer. What is asked? Like, well, actually, in part one is ski mountain. So
Okay.
either snow or other ski. So you must say ski. And then on part three, you can if the question is do you think what is that do you believe or what is the advantages or disadvantages or it's not about you need to choose one. You can be in between if you think
Mm.
you are in between, so but you just need to discuss. Okay, so you don't need to give one stand. Okay, so as long as you can communicate in English, that's the most important. It's not about right or wrong answer.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. You can be on the fence. You can be of two minds. You can say, actually, I'm really not decided about this. I'm undecided. I don't know. Or just be honest and say, I've never thought about this before, but let's talk about it right now. I think this and I think this. So
uh, so do you have any question, Nasser? Nasif, I'm sorry.
For for now, I'm good, sir. Thanks.
Okay, so my advice to you and
I think, is
Lolibet.
it frozen? Do you have any questions, Nassif?
Not anymore, Miss Mandy. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
so Lolibet and for all those who are watching, please practice in our group so you will get information and techniques like what Mitch told us earlier. So you can see the performance of Michelle. So it's still not late. So practice and keep on practicing. Okay, do your assignments. Okay, so I think this is the our comeback episode of Mandy, and I'm looking forward. Next time, I hope I will be sitting next to Mandy on our next episode. Okay. So yeah, thank you so much, Mandy. You're so welcome to us, and thank you. And to everyone, thank you. Please tag your friends on our Facebook video. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.